back to another episode of Daily Current Affairs with me. This is the third episode of the series of Current Affairs, and I'll be dealing with Saturday and Sundays, that is 15th and 16th July's Current Affairs. Now today I have a lot of topics here. Some of topics dealing with international relationships and other dealing with science and technology. First topic we'll move to virtual summit and virtual silence. In this, what you have to learn is that mainly about SEO. The article basically discusses about India's virtual summit not conducting a virtual summit with SEO and how India is moving out of SEOs. So this is actually an important question. This is a previous year question. Discuss the opportunities for India to fulfill its national interest in the Eurasian region considering the emerging importance of SEO as a region organization. This is asked for 15 marks. So SEO as an area is pretty important, and dealing with international relationships, everything comes in GS2 today. Now we have to learn about SEO and its members. SEO consists of 8 members. We have China, India, Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, Pakistan, Russia, Uzbekistan and Tajikistan. You have to remember here is that there is about 5 Central Asian countries like Kazakhstan, Uzbekistan, Tajikistan, Kyrgyzstan and Turkmenistan. In this SEO, Turkmenistan is not there, which means that out of the 5, Turkmenistan is not there and the rest 4 are there, including India, Pakistan, China, Russia. The other 4 countries are Russia, China, India and Pakistan, but Turkmenistan is not there, just remember that. Iran is the newest member added into this group, you have to also remember that. Afghanistan, Belarus and Mongolia has observer status. Okay, so remember there is no Turkmenistan and all other 4 Central Asian countries are there. Another thing which you need to know about the SEO is its objective. Like it's a regional cooperation where they develop their economies, the polities, about mutual military understanding, about curbing the terrorism present in these areas and any other extremist or separation tendencies. The structure of SEO, there is head of states. The main headquarters is at Beijing. It meets every once in a year, and they have also an anti-terrorism terror structure called the RATS, which is situated in Tashkent, that is in Uzbekistan. Their official working languages are Chinese and Russian. So these are some of the important things that you need to know about SCO, that is Shanghai Cooperation Organization. Now let us move on to India-France set to co-develop jet engines. So India-France relation is also another important major step which is happening now with the Modi government and the France President interacting with the deals of military deals and defense cooperations happening. So recently in the last episode I told you about India making a deal of purchasing 26 Rafale marine jets and also 3 additional Scorpion submarines that is to be built in India. Now addition to this, India-France is also going to jointly develop a compact aircraft engine. That is actually highlight of this article. They are actually going to develop a jet engine. That is also, they have another defense corporations like surface ships, roadmaps on defense industrial corridors and so on. India-France actually celebrate 25 years of their strategic partnership. So with this 25 years, there is a lot of deals coming up, which is not restricted to the defense, but there are many corporations associating with space, climate change, nuclear cooperation and so on. So in space there is Trishana, a satellite system that is jointly developed by India and France space centers. In climate change there is cooperation in low carbon economy and dealing with the Paris Agreement and climate change. Then very important, there is International Solar Alliance between India and France. Nuclear cooperation. There is also small modular reactors and advanced modular reactors cooperation to be developed by India and France, but there are some challenges. You know, we have FTAs, free trade agreements with a lot of countries, but we don't have that with France. So that is a major issue. Like India could develop a free trade agreement where this bilateral trade of goods and services, there is more understanding between India and France. Also there is intellectual property rights issue. There is a Chinese factor, that is aggression of China in the Indian Ocean region. This affecting India and France as real. And then the trade imbalance. There is a lot of export and import trade balance happening between India and France. Like we have not surplus trade. France has a surplus trade with India. Now, the next is India and UAE set to use dirham for trade. Now, this is a major step that is India and UAE are bringing together. This is to actually promote the use of local currencies for cross-border exchanges, transaction and exchanges. This is actually an MOU between both the central banks of India and that of UAE, and they also include the mutual acceptance of domestic card schemes by interlinking the national card switches. Now, this is a major step, very major step in the India-US trade deals. Before that, we have in 2017 a comprehensive strategy partnership with CSP, like in the trade, in economics, in commerce, in oil trade, in negotiation, in other areas of economy. It's very important comprehensive deal. Okay, and UAE is very important because it is part of India's West Asian policy. Like we have Look East policy, Act East policy, we have India's West Asian policy, which also includes UAE. Now, let me tell you more about India-UAE relations and how it happens. Like UAE is India's third largest trading partner. Like it costs about US dollars of $68.4 billion. Also, the FDI, UAE is the seventh largest investor in India, with FDI inflows cumulative about $15,179 million from 2000 to 2020. Over 20 years, they have FDI inflows of this much FDI inflows. There's also bilateral trade between India and the UAE, which actually increased. There's a 10% increase in the bilateral trade from India from about $72.9 billion to about $84.5 billion. That's an increase of about 16% bilateral trade. Also, there are many sectors in India which actually saw a huge significant export growth rate. Like we have mineral oil, jewelry, automobiles, essential oils, cereals and so on. So, a very big boost in economic trade and sectors. So, that is about India-UAE relations. Now, moving on to G20 SIRPA. As India is president of G20 this year, it is very important that you comprehensively cover everything under G20. Everything like means the structure, the members, what are India's plans, what is to do with the G20 symbol of India. So, it's a big area, please stay with me. Okay, now before G20 we need to know the members. G20 can be comprehensively said like there are G7 members, G8 members and some other countries that is clubbing together to form G20. There are actually 19 countries including European Union and maybe a compulsory partners like the World Bank and IMF. In G20 we can see the G7 members. We know G7 members, you can easily remember like the World War II countries. I remember it like that. Like now there is in World War II, we have US presence, Italy presence, Japan, Canada, France, UK, Germany. The 7 G7 countries are ready. In G8 we include Russia and then there are some other 12 countries that will be included into the G20. I basically remember this G20 by like dividing them in basis of their continents. Like from North America we have all the 3, Canada, USA and Mexico. Like here we have Mexico. From Africa there is only South Africa. From South America we have Argentina and Brazil. From Middle East we can see Turkey and Saudi Arabia. From our Asia we have India, Southeast Asia, Indonesia, South Korea and we can also say Australia and China. Then we have the entire European Union. So, it's easy if you actually remember it based on the continents and how it comes, you can easily cover all the G20 members. Like, okay, the G20 is an informal group. It's an informal group. It consists of 19 countries, European Union, World Bank and the International Monetary Fund comes along with it. Now, G20 is found after the 1999 Asian financial crisis. Now, this initially was a group created by all the finance ministers and central bank governors. Then it actually expanded to include other major posts and office posts like the president, the prime minister and so on. Now it's become a whole comprehensive package of not just finance ministers and governors, but exporting to other non-governmental organizations, other members, non-official members, official members. It's a very huge body right now. Now, the G20, the 20 countries combines together of 85% of the global GDP, 75% of the global trade and 2/3 of the population. Thus, it's a very big body comprehending of lot of like the big 20 economies in the world. But the thing you should need to understand is there is no permanent secretariat. There is 20 countries and the presidency keep repeating between these 20 countries, and which country is the president, is the secretariat hosted in that country. So there is no permanent secretariat. Like for SCO, like Shanghai Cooperation Organization, we told that Beijing was the headquarters area. But here we don't have a permanent secretariat, no permanent headquarters, but the country which is hosting the presidency will act as a temporary secretariat. Okay? And the presidency rotates annually. Now, the presidency is selected from 5 groups. Like I won't tell you to study all the 5 groups, but it's important like you know that India comes from the second group. The 20 countries are divided in a concurrention of 5 groups. In the first group we have Australia, Canada, Saudi Arabia and USA. In group 2 we have India, Russia, South Africa and Turkey. Group 3, Argentina, Brazil and Mexico. Group 4, France, Germany, Italy, UK. And Group 5, China, Indonesia, Japan and South Korea. Like this you can see, it's all from Asia. Now this group is from Europe. This is from South America, North America. Then we have the other residuary group here. Then we have some of the big economies like Australia, Canada, Saudi Arabia and US congregate in the group 1. Also another important thing is Troika. Troika is the body of 3 members. It consists of the previous president, present president and the future president. Last year we had a Troika of Italy, Indonesia, India, where Italy was the previous, Indonesia was previous and India was yet to be the president. This year we have India, Indonesia, India and Brazil. Indonesia was the previous president, India the current president and Brazil is going to be the future president of 2024 next year. Okay, so it's important you know also Troika. Now, there are 4 different bodies under this. There is Sherpa track, finance track, then there is an engagement group and also other initiatives under this. In the Sherpa track, it consists of a representative of the leader. There is PM. Some PM appoints a representative, that is Amitabh Kant. His name was in news, so it's better you know his name. Like Amitabh Kant is the present Sherpa head. They actually focus in area like socio-economic issues such as the agriculture, the economy, corruption, education, health, energy, environment and so on. Then we have the finance track. In this finance track, there is no other PM or president or other official head, it's just the finance minister and the central bank governors. They hold a meeting and meet 4 times in a year. This group, the finance track, meet 4 times a group with 2 meetings held on the sidelines of World Bank and IMF meetings. They bring on the fiscal and monetary policy challenges like the global economic challenges, financial inclusion, international financial challenges, architecture and so on. Those are some of the focus areas of the finance track. So remember, in Sherpa track is a representative of the president or the representative of the leader, that is Amitabh Kant, and they focus on socio-economic issue. This Amitabh Kant is for this year. Okay, he is present Sherpa head for this year under India's presidency. Now we have the finance track under finance ministers and the central bank governors. Then we have an engagement group. They deal with like activities like we have heard about Civil 20, Startup 20, Business 20. They are small groups, and that non-official groups consist of the NGOs and other business and other industries. They formulate plans and targets in this engagement group. Then we have other initiatives like research and innovation initiatives. We have G20 Empower, Gathering, Bricks and Space, Economy Leaders Meeting. So these are some of the off-track G20 meetings held. Now, another important thing is that you need to know about G20 logo of India. So you see there, this is our G20 logo of India. It represents the earth with the lotus. Lotus represent growth even in times of challenging times, and the earth represent the pro-planet challenge of India, where we include with the harmony with the nature and so on. And the G20 is in the color of Indian flag, like the orange green, which represents the strength, peace and tranquility. And then we have a pro-planet approach. We have a pro-planet approach. Below the T20 logo is Bharat is written in Devanagari language. And the theme of G20 presidency is Vasudeva Kutumba, which means one earth, one family and one future, which is taken from an ancient Sanskrit text called the Maha Upanishad. Remember, the theme is Vasudeva Kutumba. You can even write it in your mains answer writing. One earth, one family, one future. The theme is also spotlights life, our life mission, that is lifestyle for environment. This is also portrayed in this. The G20 presidency also marks the beginning of Amritakal. We know Amritakal. Like we had 75th year of independence and 25 years from now we will have Amritakal, that is the 100 years of independence. So this is also portrayed along with our G20. So we can expect G20 questions in mains and prelims yet to come, because it's a very important topic considered that India is presiding it right now. Now, Pakistan says militants are given refugee in Afghanistan. This is a very simple topic. The only thing is us to know is that Pakistan claims that Afghanistan violates Doha Agreement. We should know what is the Doha Agreement. Doha Agreement is the US-Taliban deal for ending 18 years of war in Afghanistan. Is in 2020 the Taliban and the US made a deal, that is in Doha, Qatar, that is called the Doha Agreement. It is actually end the war ongoing 18 years of war in Afghanistan. These are some of the criteria mentioned under this act. Comprehensive ceasefire between the Afghan government and the Taliban group. Also the timeline for withdrawal of the foreign troops, and also that Taliban do not attack the withdrawing troops. Also the prevents the use of Afghanistan by any individual against the security of the United States and its allies. India was always a supporter of peace in Afghanistan. Thus India, even though with a little trouble, India has accepted the Doha Agreement. Toothache with swelling in the face and neck may be by symptoms of a bacteria called Ludwig angina. Now we have entered into science and technology, and the first thing is Ludwig angina. This is a recently bacterial infection that is mentioned in yesterday's news. So this is a skin infection. This is a rare skin infection that occurs in the floor of the mouth and in the tongue. It occurs in the floor of the mouth and in the tongue area. Okay. So this is actually caused by a bacteria called Staphylococcus or Streptococcus. That is the bacteria's name. Then it occurs after, like occurs after if you have a tooth abrasion or if you have mouth infections and so on. It is actually more common in adults than they have in children. It may be actually caused due to poor hygiene, like we don't wash our mouth or we don't brush regularly. It may be caused due to poor dental health hygiene, and also if you have a tooth extraction, it may cause an infection and so on. The symptoms may include, like we have a swelling, there is difficulty in swallowing or breathing or difficulty in speaking. These are some of the symptoms associated with this. CRISP genetic editing tool to get better wood fiber. Now in this, which we need to know is better is CRISP genetic editing tool technology. Now here we see wood fibers are actually used to meet the growing demand for renewable tissue, paper, recyclable tissue packaging, textiles and other fiber products. So this CRISP editing has enabled the scientists to design a wood which uses lignin, which is actually an organic polymer, is more suitable for fiber production. Now thus the scientists are using CRISP genetic technology than just editing a single gene. Now we need to know what is actually CRISP genetic editing technology. It uses actually a molecular scissors called the Cas9. So see here, this is a Cas9 protein, this is the gene to be edited. The Cas9 just cut the area, it just cut the area where we need to insert the new gene, cuts it, and then programmed DNA, the Cas9 actually inserts it to the required DNA. It cuts and then insert, cuts, removes the unwanted gene and then insert the wanted gene into this. Okay. Now this field has a lot of development area. Like in agriculture, we can generate pest resistant crop, like fertilizer resistant crops, like increase the plant yield, reduce the diseases that is present in the plant, and in genetic research we can use it in drug screening, therapy development, and medicine we can use to cure like treatments for cancer, HIV. We can genetically identify the diseases that are present and then genetically remove it. Now therapeutic cloning is actually a process of whereby embryonic cells are cloned to obtain biological organs for transplantation, like with the genes, with my genes, for transplantation by the same lungs or whatever for transplantation can be created by therapeutic cloning. But don't you feel like it is very unethical? Like we can clone anything, we can genetically modify even our babies with the traits and the genes they want. We can also edit their genes to actually look for if there is any future diseases or problems with our babies, and then see how we can actually edit their genes and develop a fully perfect human being. Now that is actually violation of their human rights as well as ethically not so good. But this is actually a field with very development and it's emerging field, so we get yet to see more changes coming in it. Now there is the last topic. Why is there a controversy on forest bills? Now in this forest bill we need to know 3 bills, that is very important. We have our Forest Conservation Act of 1980, with which the government can actually extract the forest resources, if it's a minus forest resources or if it's industrial coal mining etc. The government can regulate it even if it's done by industry or it is even done by a forest dweller. Then we have Forest Rights Act of 2006, which actually protects the interests and rights of the tribal that are living in the forest, thus affecting their livelihood, whose livelihood is dependent on the forest. Then we have India Forest Policy of 1988, with which the government has stated about preserving country's third of geography area to be under forest. But in reality it is just 21% of the area under forest right now, and just 24% are also in the tree covered outside the area. Now also in this there is before 1980 Act there was 4 million hectares of land that was used or converted for non-forest purpose, but after the emergence of 1980 Act it is just 1 million hectares of land that is actually used for forest land used for non-forestry purpose. The protection under this act was only available for areas mentioned under the government central under the records. Protection is only for the areas already marked by the central government. For the other areas it was not available. Okay, an important judgment is the Godavaram Tirumul case in 1996, where the Supreme Court has expanded the scope of 1980 Forest Act. I already said that in 1980 Forest Act the forest was already only protected in which the government had records of, and this judgment is for the other areas which is not prescribed under the government records, and said and formally defined notified as forest, but conforming to the dictionary meaning of forest were protected. Everything under the definition of a forest was to be protected. That was the judgment given by the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court didn't actually properly define the forest and actually gave it to the states to actually notify and define the forest, but many states have not done that. Okay, now with this Forest Conservation Bill 2023, these are the proposed changes to actually create a preamble to the act, creating a preamble to our inherent forest of our habitable nature, actually creating a preamble like the constitution. Then restriction of the activities in the forest, like forests can't be diverted to non-forest use for cultivation, for horticulture, for cattle rearing and so on. Land under the purview of the act. There are 2 categories of act under this. Some of the acts which is mentioned, the land already notified under the other Forest Act, like Forest Act 1972, Forest Conservation Act 1980, Forest Conservation Act 1998, Forest Rights Act 2006. These areas, and then the land which is not actually covered in the first category but notified as a forest after the inclusion of Forest Conservation Act 1980. Then further the act will not apply to land which is actually changed from forest use to non-forest use as of before December 1996. There is a power to issue direction. The government has a power to issue the regulations and implementation of the act to any organization, to any other authority by the center, state or union territory. Then there are some exceptions under this act. that it cannot be stated in any area of national importance or strategic importance, like we have LAC and LOC. 100 km within these areas are not notified. These are some of the exceptions, and for national security also some of the areas are exempted. So this is all about our forest, for controversy on our forest bill or Forest Conservation Act of 1980 amendment. So this is it. This has been the whole news of Saturday and Sunday. So let's meet again for another episode at Tuesday. Thank you.